It's always been hard work and homegrown for us. We tried doing record labels. We tried doing everything that you're supposed to do in the world of music, and it wasn't working for us. So we said, screw this. We're going to do it our way. We hired our own managers. We told them they couldn't manage 20 other bands.
Okay.
We stopped doing record labels and we did our own, because there's a totem pole in record labels. And if you're at the bottom or in the middle and stuff, they don't pay attention to you unless you're producing at the top, and you tend to get kicked under. And so it's a lot more work for us, but it's a hell of a lot more rewarding.
We don't chase our dreams, or maybe we change our dreams and form new dreams because of circumstances. Sometimes we overperform in a certain vertical that then causes us to not want to give up what we built there to go after our true passions. When I was 27 years old, I asked my boss for a raise. I was working in Arthur J. Gallagher, a very big insurance giant and a very reputable place to be employed. But my dream was to own my own company. Back then, Arthur J. Gallagher didn't have a good compensation model, and they weren't well known for paying their producers handsomely. They had more of an approach where we all worked as a team and you had security with high base salaries. For hungry sales reps that want to make the big bucks, that is not a good deal. High salary means lower commission. Additionally, the idea was that because you worked there, you were able to make sales more easily because of that name on your business card. One day, I asked for a raise. It was substantial. I didn't get it. So I quit and started my own company, and then 9.5 years later, sold it to private equity. It was a good move. But what if my boss would have said yes when I requested my salary to be increased up to $180,000? What if they didn't care that 40 and 50-year-olds were making less than that, and that they saw my talent for the future and it made sense to give it to me, even if it was going to rock the boat amongst my much older coworkers? What if they would have had a more aggressive or progressive compensation model that allowed me to earn what I thought were the big bucks through higher commission in exchange for a lower salary? I could tell you that if I worked at other places, I would have been making 300, 400 grand maybe by then with the way I was performing. But I didn't work at other places. Thank God. And also thank God that they didn't give me the raise I requested. I may never have left that job and followed my passion. I would not have ever known what I missed out on. I would have been a high-paid employee building equity for someone else, not for myself. But it would have been very difficult to walk away from a $300,000 a year job when you're not even 30 years old. But for me, because of these circumstances, I only had to walk away from a $140,000 job. And I was prepared to do that. My guest today went to a prestigious university. We know each other from back in the 90s at Notre Dame. He was the dude in my dorm playing hacky sack, listening to Dave Matthews. I was the football player jock. He was a smart dude and got into Notre Dame because of his grades. I got into Notre Dame because I was good at football. But I was the one who worked in white-collar America after college. What did he do? We lost touch after college, but a good 10 years later, I am riding my bike through the Gold Coast of Chicago. There was an outdoor bar there called Melvin B's that was sort of a dive bar in the middle of an affluent area. It had some character. I hear a voice yell, "Hey, Cerasani." Sure enough, it was Pony, my homie from Notre Dame who I hadn't seen in years. I found out that they put a band together at Notre Dame and all lived in Chicago now. We were probably around 30 years old at the time. My first instinct was, this dude was a smart guy. He didn't do anything with his degree, and he's in a band at 30 years old. Kind of struck me as odd. Then he told me the name of his band, and I'm like, fuck, that's you guys? There is an opportunity cost associated really with anything we do. If you have a passion that is worth going after, you'll have to give something up, just like today's guest did. We all know this, but so many of us don't have the balls to do it. For me, it was starting my own business. I may not have done it if I got that $40,000 raise, but I still did walk away from a $140,000 salary. What's your breaking point? For Pony, it was taking the risk of being a rock star and more or less ignoring the world-class education he just received. Ask yourself, what are you not giving up to not do what you are passionate about? Originating out of South Bend, Indiana in the late 1990s, Umphrey's McGee became widely established on the American jam band circuit and have become known as one of the more ambitious and musically versatile acts in the genre. Equal parts trained pianist and self-taught rocker, Ryan Stasik is a confluence of musical forces. As a student at the University of Notre Dame, he co-founded Umphrey's McGee, known as much for their irreverent stage presence as their complex musicality. Ryan is truly a musician knowing no boundaries. Welcome to 2000% Raise, Ryan Stasik.
Thanks for the words, John. Appreciate it.
You got it. Now, do you still go by Pony?
Only the college guys actually call me that anymore. My kids do not, and either do new met people. I think it was more of a college thing, but when Bayliss is pissed at me on the bus or something and he gets a "God damn it, Pony." So yeah, it still happens.
I love it, and you could see for people watching on YouTube, I'm using my Notre Dame mug today. For those that don't know, I left after sophomore year under some extenuating circumstances and transferred to Northwestern. And really, we didn't have social media back then. Lost touch with a lot of the guys. See, Notre Dame's cool, right, Pony? Ryan? Because we don't have frats and sororities there. So your dorm kind of becomes your fraternity. So it's not co-ed. It's kind of a cool phenomenon, right?
Yeah, and I miss the days of coming back to the dorm and having a blinking red light, being like, "Did somebody call? Is it a girl?" And it was just Father George telling you that no girls are allowed in the dorm at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday or something.
Exactly.
Pre-cell phone, pre-voicemail, it was just a blinking phone. You're like, I hope someone called me.
Special shout out to my good friend Jay, who works at Cameramatics. Entrepreneurs rely on their assets, mainly work trucks with their company's logo on the side. Why not add another layer of protection with Cameramatics? They will track your mobile profit centers while they're being driven and give you real-time video footage to accompany your success. Oh wait, did I mention the insurance premiums reduced premiums? For more information, contact one of my old pals, Jay, at jcantwell@cameramatics.com. That's Jay Cantwell at cameramatics.com. jcantwell@cameramatics.com.
Can you start off, kind of telling us how the conversation went, Ryan, when you told your parents, who probably just watched you walk the aisle and graduate? I'm assuming we don't have to get into the financials, but I'm assuming they paid a shitload for you to go to Notre Dame. You tell them you're moving to Chicago to chase this band dream. What was that conversation like?
Well, I gotta precede that with my parents have always been 100% supportive of music and the arts, and me truly finding what was important to me for my own passion and growth. So the music was never a problem. However, I didn't go to school for music. My dad went to Notre Dame and graduated in '73. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I was in Notre Dame diapers. And when I applied early and got in academically, yes, I wasn't an athlete at Notre Dame, but when I went there, I was super excited to go, but I wasn't ready to know what my path was. I actually got into the accelerated medical program at University of Michigan in 5 years, and I thought I was going to be a neurosurgeon. And I had shadowed a pretty amazing doctor in Kalamazoo before I went to college, but I realized that path was a little extreme and intense for me, and I wasn't ready for that. However, I did major in pre-med for that first semester, but I'll be completely honest, I was more interested in finding musicians, and being an extrovert, I was meeting everybody in the cafeterias saying, "Hey, do you play guitar? You want to jam?" I was going around the dudes' dorms and being like, "Hey, was that you in the chapel playing piano? You want to get together and jam?" And that's how I ended up meeting everybody in my first bands, and eventually Brendan Bayliss, who I've been making music with for over 30 years.
Wow.
And that was, the pre-med didn't work out. Then I was, for a short time, I thought, hey, maybe I'll be an orthodontist to move back to Kalamazoo and just have, fix people's teeth. That was short-lived. So I majored in Japanese and I double majored in marketing. And I figured business would help. And I always was very interested in learning a language. But I'll be honest, man, my main time and energy was spent in my Japanese major and making music and finding people to try and chase that dream with for life. So to answer your question, my parents, what's it, like $100,000? They never ever gave me shit for pursuing music. I went to summer school and I doubled up all my majors. So my senior year, I got caught smoking weed a lot. And then my dad was like, I'm not paying for your school anymore. So my senior year, I only had one class and I was able to work 35 hours in a kitchen, work for my band. Okay. And then I had Italian films. So I studied Fellini on Tuesdays, my last semester, senior year. Now, Mike Muro was our drummer, and he was a year behind. So we were all waiting for him to graduate with his business degree in finance from Notre Dame. So we all stuck around and lived in South Bend. And I worked in the kitchen, was a cook, and we did odd jobs and waited. And once we were able to go to Chicago and get a band house and live there and say, let's really do this, my parents never, ever said, you're wasting your time, you're not chasing your dream. However, I do have very vivid memories of being at tailgates and some of his friends and older adults being, a little drunk, saying to me, what the hell are you doing, kid? You're wasting you're wasting money, you're wasting your time,
Yeah.
And I remember looking at them and I asked them, I'm like, are you happy doing what you're doing?
Right.
Kind of like a drunk, cocky 20-year-old.
Yeah.
But that sticks in my mind. I remember that because I was always, this is what I do with my daughters and stuff. I want them to find what makes them happy.
Yep.
And you don't always have to follow the guideline of the generation ahead of you or think a straight line. So moving to Chicago made sense. We were all in the Midwest. Our parents were in the Midwest. And we were like, we're going to give this the college try or the shot. Now, I did have one audition for a job or a interview, I should say.
They're called interviews, Tony, in the real world.
Muro and I had just graduated. Rest in peace, Mike Muro, our original drummer. He was in business. I was business, and Japanese was definitely not going to be used in my near future. Even though I did live there and study there, it was an interesting major choice. But I was like, okay, maybe we should look at getting an advertising job or something that interests us, and see if we can gig part-time and then get a real job with our Notre Dame degree and make some money to pay off the brownstone we're living in that's costing us a fortune. And when I walked into the interview, one, I was overdressed. I thought we were supposed to dress up for interviews. Apparently, like, casual Fridays was already a thing in 2000.
Gotcha.
And I sat down with the guy and I was like, yeah. He's like, what are you looking to do? And I was like, I'm interested in maybe advertising or marketing. But here's the catch. I have this music group and I'm probably going to be gone most Thursdays and Fridays. And I'm not sure about Mondays and Wednesdays. Do you think I could work on Tuesdays? And he just laughed at my face and he's like, I don't think this is for you, kid. And I walked out in my suit and tie and I was like, you know what? That's not for me. I'm just going to be my own boss.
You said something about your dad's friends or just the older people at the tailgate making comments. And, it's just interesting. It resonates with me. I think we as adults now, right, as us in our 40s look into it, even we don't realize that sometimes the impact that we might have on people with just little side commentary, especially when it's somebody that we look up to and someone we value their opinion. Even the slightest little comment or the smallest little, making you the butt of a joke about, wasting your, dad's money or whatever. It's just, something that could sit with you. Now, it sounds like you, Ryan, have been able to use it for good and kind of energize yourself, over the years and you use it for, positive things. But, we should all keep that in mind. You know what I mean?
But I'll also counter that it is such a driving force. Brendan Bayliss, who graduated a year ahead of me and sings and plays guitar at Umphrey's McGee, he started to take music his junior and senior year at Notre Dame. And the music teacher told him, you have as much of a chance of making it in the music business as I do for playing center field for the Reds.
Really?
And that cut Brendan deep. And he tells that story at least once a year.
Wow.
And he has remembered that since 1997. and that was pre Umphrey's, and I think it drove him to go chase his passion for music as well.
Yeah. And what was the professor's mindset with even saying that? Were they talking about his talent level, or were they just saying it's hard industry to make it in?
I think it was a little bit of both, and it is. Let's be honest, it is an extremely difficult industry to make it in. There's highs and there's lows, and it's not what TV paints it out to be most of the time.
Did you ever get a chance to use that Japanese? Did Umphrey's McGee ever play in Japan?
Yeah, we did. We played the Fuji Rock Fest in 2006. I was able to use my conversational Japanese to get us through some interesting hangs and some dinners. And
I gotta think though, as the bass guitarist, you're probably you're not vocals, right? So during the concert, you're probably not on the microphone. In Japan, did you get up and make an announcement to everybody?
That's a good question. I don't have to go to the tapes, the archives, and find that out. But we did write a song because I was majoring in Japanese that we still play to this day called Hajimemashite, which is which we call Hajj and is a fan favorite. But the early, like in 1997 when we were writing it, it had a part where I would speak in Japanese and Brendan would hilariously try to translate. It was almost like a Zappa-esque, Frank Zappa, huge shout out, big influence, Zappa-esque humor and music tune that we did, and we have definitely trimmed the fat and turned it into more of a standard ballad, if you will.
This is John Cerasani, and thank you for listening to the show as I interrupt myself. If you have a business or a business idea and want me to take a look at it, let me know and we could set up a $500 consultation. If your business idea is one that I don't think I can help you on, I will respectfully decline the meeting, but I'll still give you my 2 cents for free. One possible outcome of these meetings is that we become business partners. Additionally, I'm looking for people that want opportunities or need capital for their cash flowing business idea. This could be anything from franchise opportunities to something new and proprietary. Contact me at 2000percentraise.com and fill out the serious inquiries only form on the bottom to get started.
So as you guys are in Chicago, you're going through your 20s, you're playing at, the Chicago people know like the venues like Joe's on Weed Street and places like that. Where was that fork in the road, Ryan, when you started to realize, okay, we are going to make it? We're not worrying about paying rent next month. Was there a big gig or was there a moment in time?
No, it was rough, and we were roughing it for definitely the first 3 years, if not 5 years of 2000. When we lived in the band house, Joel, our keyboard player, and our respected elder, he was basically managing and doing all the booking, doing all the numbers. So he would, have his pen and pad and be like, this is what we need to pay rent. This is what we need for the Suburban. This is what we need. So like we would meet the gigs. And the funny part about music and the music industry is when you're nobody, you can play every night in Chicago. You can play the Elbow Room. You can play downtown, another dive bar. You can play at Joe's. You can play the Double Door. But once you start getting recognition and pretty decent, then there's radius clauses, and you have to start touring because if the House of Blues has you, they don't want you to play another show because you're going to buy tickets to go there. So that's when we started learning about that, kind of figuring it out on our own. We were like, oh, we actually have to tour. So let's get addicted to this road life because living on the road is not for everybody. Yeah. You get married young and you try to leave your wife young, and they're like, this is not what I signed up for. It can be a hard life. I always joke around with everyone. I say, I play the gigs for free. I will play every gig for free, but you put me on planes, trains, and automobiles to get there and deal with all the travel and all the other parts, then that's what we're getting paid for.
You're paying me for all the bullshit. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
We had an actor on the show recently that said the same thing. They're not paying me to act. They're paying me to wait in line at auditions. That's what they're paying me for.
Yeah. Yep.
So how did you jump from, the Elbow Rooms of the world to House of Blues? Was there a big release or a song that kind of escalated you guys?
Now, being in the, as you said before, the jam band circuits, and to correct you real quick too, I was not listening to Dave Matthews. I was more of a Grateful Dead Fish guy in those days. But
okay. Well, my original monologue was referring to smoking weed, but I know you got kids, and now you've already brought it up yourself. So let me change.
It's
legal.
While
Pony was smoking weed in the quad playing hacky sack. Is that better?
That's better. However, I did end up starting listening to Dave Matthews because we ended up opening for him. He's an
Really?
awesome dude. Yeah,
Wow.
Alpine Valley. We did a couple tours with him. He's one of the best. He's one of the most down to earth, coolest guys out there. And I'm a huge fan of the band now. I just
Awesome.
wasn't aware of it as much in the early 90s. So basically, what happened is in the jam band world, things are more about audience loyalty, I think. Like the Grateful Dead and Fish and Allman Brothers, people go to multiple shows. They're there for part of the experience of being there. It's not like going to see Justin Bieber one night, because the next night it's going to be an amazing show with amazing production, but people aren't, at least I don't know, aren't going on tour to see 36 shows in a summer.
Right.
So we started getting, this is pre-internet and everything, and cell phones kind of, so everything was word of mouth. And we worked extra hard. We would record our own shows on CD and immediately have like 50 CD burners and everything and sell them after the show. Joel and I would go around campus with flyers and free CDs and just spreading it as much as we could. And then we started getting picked up in the jam band circuit for the larger festivals that started happening, like Bonnaroo was huge. In the beginning, Bonnaroo was a Widespread Panic, Dave Matthews, Grateful Dead, Fish, Umphrey's. It wasn't what it is today, where there's Pearl Jam and Tool and Metallica and Chris Rock and comedians. Like it started small in a jam band world. And that really helped us get our name out into festivals. We're like, okay, come out west and play the High Sierra Music Festival. Come out east and play this festival. And then we'd build up. And now we're playing Lollapalooza. Now we're playing South by Southwest. Now we're playing the bigger ones. And it's always been hard work and homegrown for us. We tried doing record labels. We tried doing everything that you're supposed to do in the world of music, and it wasn't working for us. So we said, screw this. We're going to do it our way. We hired our own managers. We told them they couldn't manage 20 other bands.
Okay.
We stopped doing record labels and we did our own, because there's a totem pole in record labels. And if you're at the bottom or in the middle and stuff, they don't pay attention to you unless you're producing at the top, and you tend to get kicked under. And so it's a lot more work for us, but it's a hell of a lot more rewarding to do things the way we want to do, to pay for it ourselves. And that goes back into just being our own bosses. I've always had I respect authority, but I've always had a problem with somebody above me telling me that this is how you're supposed to do it or how you're going to do it. So Umphrey has done everything kind of as an 8-headed monster, the 6 band members and our 2 managers, Vince Iwinski and Kevin Browning. And we're always seeing what's on the forefront technological wise, what we can do that we're already doing and make money for it.
Yeah.
And touring is our bread and butter. I mean, we're not selling millions of records, so it's not like we write a record and we sit at home and the mailbox is just being filled with cash. I wish. That'd be nice.
Does it work like that for anybody anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Taylor Swift is sweating. I mean, she's getting some mailbox money. But, if you're a smaller band, and I joke, but if you're a smaller band and you're trying to make it, I mean, getting out there, being on the road, getting in front of people, that's cutting your teeth. And there's nothing better to me. I'm 46 years old, and there's nothing better to me than getting on the stage and making music and seeing how it affects the people that paid their hard-earned money to come out and see me and give me back what I'm giving to them. And that sort of thing, I'm getting goosebumps right now.
That's
thinking
awesome
about it. Like that is the greatest thing in the world. That's what we signed up to do. And luckily we've been blessed enough to do it with this band for 25 years now.
Brother, I'm going to tell you right now, and for the audience, Ryan and I have not stayed in touch. We've bumped into each other a couple times in Chicago. He's always on tour, and I think we exchanged numbers maybe on like 07 or 08, but we never we never used them. But if it wasn't for social media, we wouldn't be in touch. And I got to tell you, Ryan, just over the years, man, I'm flicking through my channels, and on that Palladium network with a freaking whole special on you freaking guys, and you're rocking out, man. And then a couple years later, I see you on the list for Lollapalooza, and I'm like, dude, I fucking know that guy, man. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. How about one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is, you just mentioned all those band members, and is it that much more difficult versus with people that have limited knowledge, like me, and I'm sure a lot of our audience, because it's a lot easier to pay your bills as a solo artist because it's still the same amount of people buying your records, same amount of people buying your merch. Do you have to get 6 times as successful as a solo artist to be able to make a living off doing this?
It's funny you brought that up because 2 of the guys for Christmas don't know that they're getting fired, so we can make one. No.
Well, this will air after Christmas, so they'll find out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Clearly, the math adds up there. I'm sure if I was a single DJ, I'd be rich. But no. Yeah, we have to make a lot more. But this is what we chose. There's something about making and the audience might not know this, but my band has its sanity based on improvisational rock and roll. So when we play, and this is the reason our fans come to multiple shows, is that when you come and hear one of our songs, it may go for the 3 minutes that it is on the studio. It may go for 5 minutes. It may go for 35 minutes, because we're listening to each other and challenging each other to improvise and make up new music on the spot and see what sort of energy and what sort of vibe is being thrown our way, how the lights affect it, how the room affects it, how the people affect it. And it's an art. And that keeps us sane, because we're like, man, that got really heavy. And we ended up playing some heavy rock and roll. It ended up being really ambient and Miles Davis-esque, and we went that route. So having that option and that risk, and knowing that all 6 of the guys in my band are fearless and capable of listening and challenging each other on an academic and musical level every night, is also what keeps us going. And I never feel like it's work and I'm just in a rut doing the same old riffs or the same old art. Like when an artist paints his canvas, like that canvas is blank at the beginning of each night. And at the end of the night, it's up to it's objective. Maybe people think it sucks, but at least they know they're going to get something that was challenging to ourselves and that was new. And that's refreshing.
I just on the surface there, I got to tell you, I think it's maybe more impressive than that artist with the canvas, because you need the chemistry between the 6 of you, huh? I mean, you got to be feeding off each other.
Well, we can get deeper into that too.
Yeah,
I mean, you ever been married to 6 dudes with no sex? It's like 6 marriages with no sex. So like you live with each other, you hate each other, then you love each other, and then you go out and create art with each other. And I'll be honest, sometimes when you're pissed off at your homie, there's a different level of anger or energy that comes through that music, and that can be absolutely amazing. Now, and I'm going to give a shout out to Notre Dame for this. Part of my Notre Dame career and time spent there, communication, I think I learned the best from being there, being able to talk to each other and not let little things build up so you end up hating each other for no reason at all. So Umphrey's McGee has learned not only to be able to take a punch, because it sucks when somebody tells you shitty things about you and how you need to change or what you need to do, but if you're able to take that punch and listen and really take it in and kind of evolve better or adapt better for each other, that's why we've been able to succeed for so long. However, we also learned that we don't tour like normal touring bands. I'm married with 2 kids. I don't want to be on the road for more than 5 days. I don't want to go out for 6 weeks. I would kill my band if I had to be on the road for 5 months. That's just, I'm not doing that. So we have developed what works for us, and it's almost a weekend warrior thing. And I know when you're younger and you're in a band, you have to cut your teeth. You got to hit every night. You got to play Mondays in Tulsa. You got to play Tuesdays in Texas on it. So what we do is we fly out on a Wednesday, and we'll meet the tour bus that night, say Chicago, and then we'll go on tour for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday. And then I'm on the 5 a.m. flight to get home. So I'm home before my kids get out of school on Monday. So I'm home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll repeat that for another week, and then I'll take 2 weeks off. And then when summertime hits, I'll put this in more of a business model for you. So our first quarter, we hit hard because we want to hit our numbers. And when we get to May, it starts to be festival season. So now we're getting big offers just to play that one set show, or like our Vegas convention. All the bands are there, and it's great to see everybody. We collaborate, we hang out, and then when we hit the fall, we'll sparse it down. So by the time we're in winter and fourth quarter, we know we've hit our numbers, and we really try to take as much time off as possible to be with our families.
Gotcha.
So we play about 80 to 85 shows a year, which means we're on the road for 100 to 110 days a year. But I like telling people that I am home in my house for 255 days of the year with my family, and it is fucking amazing. Yep. I wouldn't change anything about that. So that part, I really, really like that. That's what I consider successful for Umphrey's, that is we're able to have the balance of our professional musical career and our personal family career, and really have a good balance where we don't feel like we're neglecting the other too much.
Marlon Brando,
currently.
a Godfather pictures around me in the studio somewhere. He says, a man that doesn't spend time with his family is not a man. So good for you, man. And now is that your whole, is the whole band in the same circumstance as you with wife and kids?
Four of us have children. Three,
Well,
at least
yeah.
2 or 3 children. Both of our drummers do not have children yet.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
but similar situations. We're older and
Yeah.
homebodies,
Right.
maybe pets.
Yeah. Yeah. And then were you all single in your 20s, or was this kind of always the dynamic?
No, and that's what I was saying before. Our guitar players were actually married then, and that's not what you signed up for. It can be difficult when you're getting in a van to make no money and you're leaving for 6 to 8 weeks, and everybody else is single too. So that was crazy. Yeah, but yeah, four of us were single. Yeah.
Yeah. You got the priests from Notre Dame listening right now. See if they get married young and have kids, and then you add that last part in. But anyway, we'll leave that alone, I guess. But
Congratulations to my business partners at Let's Real Estate, who have done a phenomenal job with rentals, rehabs, remodels, selling, and flipping in today's market. If you want more information on how you might be able to work with Let's as a possible partner, reach out to me and I'll put you in touch.
so you talked about hitting your numbers in that first quarter and everything else, and it was a great segue, because one of the things I wanted to ask you about was merchandise. Whenever I go to any venue, there's a big push for merchandise, right? It could be at a smaller venue like House of Blues, it could be at the Allstate Arena. Merchandise being thrown down your neck, thrown down your throat. Is that a big piece of revenue? I gotta think that there's 3 revenue verticals, and I did not research this, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking record sales, merchandise, and concerts, I would imagine. And have there been like a situation where you get the numbers on Monday and you're like, holy shit, we sold a lot more merch than we expected to? It's like a little bonus for you guys.
Absolutely. I think you might have to Google this to fact check me, but I think the Rolling Stones and maybe even Kiss made more money on merchandise. And Rolling Stones with that logo with the tongue and the lips, I think than they did on like record sales.
Yeah.
I think the number one record for the Rolling Stones is like 40 licks or something. And so merchandise is huge. Obviously for us, our bread and butter is touring, but yeah, merchandise is enormous. I've even started my own brand, Basic Stasik, just as like my own side hustle to do things that are all things about bass and my style and what I find to be cool. And, hats, shirts.
Love it. And where can people find that information at?
Actually, basicstasik.com. I've got stuff there. Most of my stuff I bring on the road because I'm a people person. I like to be out there and meet people and be part of the hustle, But Umphrey's has a unique thing that's a little deeper than just merchandise, touring, and records. We do a lot of fan-oriented projects and experiences.
Okay.
For example, sometimes people want to, it's like it's like flying first class or for airlines. You can buy coach and wait to get on the plane last and sit in a non-reclining seat or whatever. So we offer a lot of first class opportunities. People can get into the venue early. Sometimes we'll allow you for extra money, come watch a sound check and we'll play like a private concert for you. There used to be, pre-COVID meet and greets. We'd have pizza and beer. We'd walk around, sign stuff for people, meet everybody.
Nice.
A lot of times there's posters, and in the jam band world, posters are a hot item.
Yeah.
So some are signed, some are not. So we try to do a lot of things where we can include the fans, the audience, to have a little bit more of a special experience, and us being more open and inviting and in-person events than so mysterious and untouchable or unreachable.
Yeah.
Back in the day in the 90s, I mean, there's probably some of my favorite bands in the 90s that I never even wanted to meet them. Might have ruined it. I don't know. But I like that mysteriousness of like a metal band.
Right.
But now with social media, everybody posting everything that's already out there and stuff, it's kind of cool to have a little more intimate access of your favorite artists. And if your artists are cool,
yep,
then you make a fan or a friend even for life.
Right.
So some of the other things we've been offering is we offer like they can actually come to some concerts where they're in control. We have this thing called Umphrey, which is based after the football, 4 quarters, a halftime, and an encore. And like, for example, we don't have to get too deep into this, but this is some interesting shit. They will vote on what we do. So they can text message live. There'll be a huge screen behind us in the theater, and it'll say, all right, play Jamaican Holidays Sunset. And then we will look at each other and we will improvise on the spot.
Awesome.
And try and make up what they're sending to us.
Yeah.
And then another set, they can choose which songs we play, like those old Choose Your Adventure books. you want the band to go here? Do you want the band to play this? Do you want the band to play a jam like this? And they vote in real time. And after it hits a certain time period, the voting ends, and then we transition and go into that. So you're not just coming to an Umphrey's McGee concert, you're actually part of the concert and controlling the experience.
That's
live.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And I got it based on what you said earlier. You got people at your shows that have been to probably dozens and dozens of them, right? So they're probably trying to be cute and creative. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Hey, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is you said you don't have a record. You avoided the record label, but you're also playing in a lot of these big festivals. Could you kind of educate our audience? How does that work? Like, I always thought like, okay, here's Lollapalooza, here's, Coachella or, Roaring Loud or whatever. I would imagine like everybody just wants to be in that festival, that the promoter could just be like, you pay us to be in it. And I'm sure it doesn't work that way, but who manages that process and what does it look like?
Well, we do have our own record label. It's our own.
Okay.
It's nothing too fancy as our own. So we just decided that we didn't want to go into the red having people pay for us to make our own records or do it the way that they wanted to do it. So we just started our own. And that was tough in the beginning because we spent a lot of money to do it, but we're doing very well with that now. As far as the concerts, that's where Kevin and Vince, our management, and our booking agent, Pincus, they get together and do all the schmoozing and the talking and the people first stuff. This is where I joke around. I just play bass.
Yeah, right. But, exactly. Well, Ryan and I we got on the phone for a few minutes yesterday just to make sure we were prepared for this call. And him and I haven't really talked at length for, years. And and I'm like, could you talk about the business aspect? Can I ask you about this and that? And he's like, of course. What do you think? I'm an idiot. And I'm like, dude, I didn't know if you were just some creative music guy that doesn't want to go into that shit. You know what I mean? So,
it's a good excuse to use. So you bass players out there, if you ever want to get out of all the, the problems and the business side of I just play bass.
Yeah.
But I mean, with all seriousness, Vince is on a phone 24/7, always talking to promoters, talking. Now that COVID is a huge asterisk for the music industry, huge. You got to remember, like we were about to go on. Things were great. We always plan things almost 8 months ahead, so we know where we're going to be touring. We know what numbers we're going to hit. And on March 12th, 2020, we get sent home with we have no idea how serious or when this is going to end. And now we're unemployed.
Yeah.
And by the way, COVID was like my favorite time in the world because my daughter was about to was 2.
Nice.
2 and 7, and all I did was surf and write music and stay at home. It was fucking awesome. Except I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
But it was one of the last industries to actually even give credit to be like, hey, you guys can come back. It's still a little different for people buying tickets ahead of time right now. Like usually pre-sales, those numbers are down so many percent. So it's an interesting time to try and bounce back to where we are. So for us, we had so much time off, and then we're like, okay, now let's get back. And then there's COVID, and then there's people are afraid to go out. People are getting sick still. People are infected, or things are changing. So we're slowly. I feel like 2023, and I keep saying I'm a positive person. That might be the year that we're finally back to a normal touring and hopefully more of our routine that we've been in for those years building up to 2020.
That's awesome. And we get a lot of our audience for this show is crossover from my Instagram page. So I always make a point of looking at the people's Instagram. And right, I got to think that during COVID, a lot of bands probably were trying to stay connected to their audience through social media. And just looking over yours, you post your kids a lot, you post your family a lot. I noticed that you have the comments off on that. When you started 20 plus years ago, social media was not a factor. Here we are, Ryan. We're giving advice to the young kids that the last time we really talked, we were them, right? But what's your thoughts on social media and what bands nowadays have to do to promote themselves on it? I got to tell you, I just made friends with these dudes. They happen to be sitting next to me at a Las Vegas Knights game. 5 Finger Death Punch, this heavy metal band.
Yeah, I know them.
Big,
yep.
Yeah, they're awesome, right? And nicest guys in the world, by the way. That you would never know by looking at them. It's like look like Hell's Angels or something. But I look at their social media. They're posting left and right, right?
Sure.
So I don't know.
Well, social media is a tricky thing because it is so new, and it is an integral part. Let's be honest, Instagram is kind of where people, or Twitter even, is where people are finding information. It's easy to connect and find things. For me, it has been a topsy-turvy world because, and I'm just going to be completely honest, One, I don't really give a shit what anybody else is doing.
Yeah.
I don't care what you ate. I don't care where you went. But I felt like I had the need to share mine because of my family members. They connect to see my kids, and the fans want to know kind of what's going on too.
Yeah.
But then the comments thing became such a problem because I found myself wasting so much time like reading every comment.
Yeah.
I was like, why do I even care what 100 people just said about this? And then you get the one troll or the one, tough guy behind his thumbs who says something, and then you're like, well, now I have to kick this guy's ass, and it's like this is like not good on my constitution, man. So I trying to get into routine as I get older. Like I said, I'm 46. I cannot go at the pace and the things I used to do in my 20s.
Yeah.
I'm well aware of that.
Yeah.
Plus, I have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
And I have a wife, and I'm trying to like take care of myself so I can perform well. I'm trying to limit the amount of negative interactions with people, and I feel like social media can definitely bring that in, because it's either like I have no problem with people bragging or showing off like the great things that they're doing and stuff like that, and I'm proud of that. I just don't care. So I think I'm trying to limit it more and just leave it more as a business. Be like, hey, family back home and stuff, here's the kids and here's us doing some stuff so you can keep it up. And then here's my music stuff that's going on if you do care.
Right.
This is kind of where I'm headed and what I'm doing. I'm not trying to be negative about it, and I don't think saying I don't care is necessarily negative. I'm just trying to be more prioritized with my routine and how I get shit done.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot of people, as much as I travel and do everything, everybody's scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, my algorithm's a lot of bass, Trans Ams and Steelers stuff. So, I'm on there wasting time too. I'm not trying to be preachy, but I worry about it for my kids, because I think as kids get older, there's things about self-esteem and popularity and likes and all of that. And I mean, we had that. There were bullies and they were the popular kids, and I know all of that stuff happens. I'm just a little more worried about exposing it to the cyber alleys of that, and trying to avoid that. Like my parents were always like, go outside, and I'm trying to do that. We live on the beach, and I'm like, go outside, go surfing, go ride your bikes, and do fun stuff. And there's so much connectivity, man. We're just connected too much.
Yeah. Your kids are young enough. By the time maybe they're in high school, it might even go full circle where you don't even have to worry about it anymore. Because I don't think you're the only person with that concern, and you're not the only musician with that concern. As you were talking about this, the big tough guy behind the keyboard. Drake said it in 2016. Trigger fingers turned to Twitter fingers. So this is not anything new, my man. All right. Well, listen, man, this has been awesome. I got a couple of questions here at the end. You kind of spoke to this a little bit, so you don't have to get too in depth if you don't. But Pony, me and you are sitting here talking to ourselves. You're talking to your 20-year-old self. Maybe not you in particular, but a 20-year-old that wants to get into music. What's the advice you give them?
My advice is exactly what I thought it was. Is it's going to be hard. And it's gonna be sometimes unattainable, but don't ever stop believing. I know it sounds a little corny and stuff, but like if painting or singing or playing the bass is what truly makes you happy, then there are plenty of other ways to make money, to survive. But if this is what's gonna make you happy, then you stick with it. Stay the course.
Love that. And then the last question I ask all of our guests, it doesn't have to be music, it doesn't have to be business. Give us a recommendation for a movie. Ryan Pony Stasik recommends what movie to the audience?
What movie? Wow. I don't know if I have a favorite movie.
The answers have been across the board over the.
Have they been across the board for this?
Anything from Christmas Vacation to Matrix to some obscure shit you never heard of.
Yeah, I do like some obscure shit, but it's all that slasher stuff that I can't even have on for my kids come in and stuff. They're not into that scary stuff. I'm kind of in a Quentin Tarantino hole again, like rewatching all of his stuff in order.
Yep. Yep.
So
love it.
I'd say pick any of those.
Yeah.
They're all great in their own way. And as I get older, I like to rewatch stuff.
Yep.
So my favorite, if I can pivot from movie and go to TV show, I would say Peaky Blinders.
Really? Okay. I've heard that a few times from people.
with the subtitles on. You got to have the closed caption.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got me wanting to go back and watch Kill Bill now. Kill Bill Volume 1
So good.
is so good. So good. All right, Ryan.
They're all good. They're all good, man. I'm a fan.
Ryan, well, one last thing. Tell everyone please tell everyone your website.
Okay. So after I bitch about social media, here's my social media. You can basically find me at Ryan Stasik on probably all of the social media, Instagram, basicstasik.com. My bands that I'm currently touring with are Umphrey.com, Doom Flamingo, which is my 6-piece electro synthwave band out of Charleston.
Awesome.
And my metal band, Death Kings. I think that's
Nice.
Death Kings Official.
Okay.
So if you want to hear some heavy metal by Basic Stasik here, you go to Death Kings. If you want to hear that sexual synthwave, you go see Doom Flamingo. And if you want to hear intellectual chaos, being improvisational chaos or weed rock, we like to call it, then you go check out Umphrey's.
and that final answer just opened up my mind to about 2 hours more of questions that maybe we'll save for another time. Thank you for joining 2000% Raise.
And that wraps up another episode of 2000% Raise. Thank you for listening. The best way to support our show is by leaving a rating or review on all platforms you listened on. And of course, by following, liking, or subscribing. Visit us at 2000percentraise.com or at John Cerasani on TikTok and Instagram. And of course, my YouTube channel at John Cerasani's 2000% Raise. Find all the ways to follow today's guests in our show notes. Thank you for being a part of our entrepreneurial journey.